Hello. I would like to ask you if you did any New Year resolution for 2025 at which you failed. Maybe yes, it was also for me. I plan to read a book each day, at least one page, but I failed. And do you know that 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by end of February? And these New Year's resolutions means some changes in behavior or habits which we want to introduce. And maybe you know also examples from your Agile teams that you try to implement some new process, some new behavior, some new habit, and your team failed. Same was for me. And today I would like to show you how not to be in this group of 80%. And I will show you today the power of small habits in Agile teams. What is the name of my talk? I'm coming from city Kutschy in the east part of Slovakia. You can see here this red spot. And I work there at NES Digital Engineering as technical QA lead. When I was reading the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, I was thinking about how we can use these principles in our world of IT, software development and testing in Agile teams. And today I would like to share with you my ideas. Let's start with discussion about the habits. Do you have any habit which you practice each day? Probably yes. For example, I try to exercise each day in the morning. And let's answer the question, what is the habit? Like the definition of habit. So it is a behavior or routine which we do regularly and usually also automatically. So what could be example from our world of Agile teams? Day 1, 8 a.m., I will do code reviews. The next day, day 2, again, same time, 8 a.m., I will do code reviews. And if I do this every day, it will become a habit, right? And when we speak about the habits, it's very important to say that habits are compound interest of self-improvement. What does it mean? That, for example, you see your colleague which is very successful. It seems that there was one event which caused his success, but usually it's not like this. It's a sequence of small events which will compound, and from one moment you see that it is big success. And it's related to this term. Have you heard about this term, plateau of latent potential, before? So what does it mean? So example from Agile teams could be that our team members would like to improve in Java, okay? So on the horizontal line, there is time. On vertical line, there is Java coding skills. And usually we expect that when we start learning Java, we start using variables, data types, operators. We expect that we will be able, in a couple of days or weeks, read some code or maybe write some code. This red line, but linear. But in reality, it's different. Couple of days, couple of weeks, maybe there will be no results. But those results are not lost, they are just stored. And when we continue learning, for example, if-else, loops, methods, classes. There will be one point from which we will be very quickly able to read some code or write some meaningful code. And this area between point 0 and this intersection of blue and red line, and this yellow part, it's called the valley of disappointment or the plateau of latent potential. And it was also my case. I'm coming from economic industry, but then I switched to IT, and I started learning Java. First year, couple of days, couple of weeks, no success, so I stopped. Then year number 2, I again start, again, no success. And then I think it was year 4 or 5, and I was able to write something, not becoming a Java champion, but at least be able to write some code. So we discussed what are the habits, why is important. They are compound interest and self-improvement. And now, what are these small, tiny atomic habits? So we can say that they are like habits, some regular routines, but they are small enough that we can do them very easy, and they are source of power because they are part of big system of compound growth. And when we are talking about the atomic habits, or the habits in general, they can be focused on different layers of behavior change. And atomic habits are specifically focused on some layers. So what are these layers? So imagine you would like to introduce something new and you want to build some habits, and these habits can be focused either on outcomes, this outer layer, or you go inside processes or the identity. So first example, in Agile team, let's say that you want to build some habits which are focused on creating new login page. So you develop some habits, but once this task is finished, those habits will usually disappear. The second example, when your habits, and here we are talking more about atomic habits, small habits, focus on processes. This could mean that you would like to introduce, or you are following behavior-driven development, okay? So you write feature files, you have these free amigos meetings, and at the beginning of the sprint, these scenarios in Gherkin will fail, and at the end of the sprint, they will pass as you start developing tests and application code. But once you switch the process, again, these habits will disappear. So the best way is to focus your small habits on the identity, so the core. Example could be that you will develop the habits in your Agile teams which are focused on this, that your team is top experts of which are excelling in core and technical skills. Okay, and it doesn't matter what tickets you are working on, doesn't matter what processes you follow, identity will never change, so those habits will still remain. So we discussed what is a habit, this volley of disappointment, then 3 layers of behavior change, and now let's look at the habit itself and how we can build the habit and how we can split it in some steps. So there are 4 steps when we want to build a habit. First is cue, that we see something. Second one is craving, that we want something. Then there is a response, we do something, and at the end is a reward, we get something. And those 4 steps create the habit loop. And we can compare the habit loop, for example, to for loop in Java. So in for loop, we have some iterations, right? So same in the habit loop are some iterations. And in for loop, each iteration has some steps, right? Some lines of code. So again, we have some steps. So let's start from the first step and top left. So imagine your team member in your Agile team is reading some article about new programming language, and he sees it, so it's a queue. Then we are going to step number 2 of the first iteration, the craving. Okay, so he wants to try this programming language in the team because he thinks it can improve the application. Then we are going down to step number 3. This team member has discussion with product owner or Scrum Master to dedicate some time during the sprint to do some spike about it. So it's an action, so he responds. And then at the end of the iteration, if this POC is successful, he will receive a reward, and it's the end of the first iteration. And if this was successful, then another team member can again do second iteration because first was successful. And if we have many iterations like this in Agile team, then our performance and our skills could be very, very, very big, and we can be very successful. So we have 4 steps in the habit loop, as we discussed, and from these steps we can derive the laws of behavior change. So each step has one law. First one was the cue, that we see something. So the law is that make habit obvious. Second one, related to craving, let's make habit attractive. The third one, related to response, let's make habit easy. And the last one, related to reward, is let's make habit satisfying. And for each of these laws, there are some tools or techniques which we can do. And let's see examples, at least from each of laws. So first law, related to queue, make it obvious. So how can we make the habit obvious? It's called implementation intention, is the first tool. So imagine, so each tool has one formula. So for this is that I will do some behavior at some specific time in some specific location. So what could be the example from Agile team? I will prepare for AWS certification at 8 a.m. in the office or in the area where you work at home or in the office. So by this, that we specify exactly when and what we will do, it will be more obvious and more easy for us to do the habit. And second tool for this first law, how to make the habit obvious, is habit stacking, and we can combine it with implementation intention. And here the formula is that after current habit, I will do new habit. Okay, so after I prepare for AWS certification, I will review at least one pull request. And there is a graphical representation for this one. So horizontal line, again, time. Vertical line is a number of habits. So first week, each day we will use implementation intentions. So 8 a.m. we will prepare for AWS certification in the office. Each day, week 1. Then week 2, we will, after this, review pull requests, again, each day. Week number 3, we can add another habit like look at the automation test results and so on. So this is how we can combine these two tools related to first step. Let's go to second step. Second step is craving, and the law is make it attractive. And the tool or method for this, how to help us to make habit more attractive, is temptation bundling. Okay, so we are bundling some temptation. And again, formula for this is that after habit I need, I will habit I want. And example from Agile teams could be that usually when we have some feature and we work on it as developers, we want to write the new code, but it's challenging for us to review existing code and do some refactoring. So we can say that this habit I need is refactor some code. So imagine we have a method, we have a class with 3 methods. So we can say that I review and refactor existing methods. So let's say method number 2, and then I will add a new method at the end. So this is how we can implement this tool. Let's go to law number 3, related to step response. And the law is make it easy. So how to make habit easy? And there is one very interesting tool which is called 2-minute rule. And it says that let's try to break the habit in so small activities that it's not possible to not do them, okay? So again, situation from Agile team. Imagine we are a team which is working on front-end. UI part of the application, but we know that in a couple of sprints, we will need to do some back-end stuff. And our team members doesn't have experience, so we want to train them. And how to use this 2-minute rule. So we will select some training for them. So let's say first day, just read the content of the training. Then second day, look at the course overview. Again, very small activity. And then day number 3, and the next day is at least for 2 minutes, watch something, okay? So we try to break it in very, very small parts, very easy to do, and hopefully it will be, the habit will establish. And the last law is related to reward. And let's make the habit satisfying. And the tool which we can use for this, at the beginning was habit stacking, and this is habit tracking. And the formula is that after current habit, I will track my habit. What does it mean? Or example can be that after I fix the bug from my backlog, I will put the mark in the calendar. And usually there are habits which are challenging to do. Like we don't like to fix the bugs, we want to create new functionalities, but the best way is to have a paper calendar and just put marks there for days for which we did the habit, and this red cross when we didn't do it. And this can be satisfying and will help us to not break the chain. So don't stop doing the habit. This was the first part. Like I tried to implement some ideas from the book to Agile teams, and the second part, I will share with you some specific and practical small habits focused on Agile teams, which most of them I practice, or I think it should be good to practice them in Agile teams. Habit number one, which I think is very important, is analyze results of the tests. Because many times I have seen that there were tests, unit tests, end-to-end tests, smoke tests, but nobody looked at the results. And I think there is no difference between not having the tests and having the tests but not looking at the results. Like there is no difference between someone who cannot read and someone who can read but doesn't read, right? So I think it's best way to do it early in the morning, look at the results, because we develop new features, but we should be sure that we don't break anything existing. So I think this could be the first activity when we come to work, look at the results. If there are any failures, we do analysis, try to decide if it's product bug, automation bug, or environment issue, and prioritize fixing the tests before writing new code for the new features. Habit number two, I call it big picture. Many times I have seen that there was done work on some ticket, but the final result was not how it should be, or was not so good how it should be. And I think before we start working on any ticket, we should answer the question why we are doing it, like understand the context, also the architecture of the solution, because we can have a big platform which has many components, and it's good to understand that if we change something in our component, what other components are impacted. Also review current code base, like see if something similar is not already implemented, maybe we just need to adjust something. And understand the business impact, what will be the impact for the customers, how they will use it. And I think this will help us to have better solutions. Habit number three, related to maybe also prioritization, but you know the situations that that you are working on some ticket and maybe there is priority number one, there is another priority one, and you never know which ticket you will do each day, and maybe there is ticket which you do for more days, okay? And I think it's good to, even if you haven't finished work on your ticket today, just put a comment. What I did, it could be good for you when you will come next day, or if somebody else will working on it. And I think it's also important in these types of tickets where we just do some investigation, okay? So we know there is a problem and we try various solutions, how to fix it. And it's good to just comment, today I did this, another day I tried this. And what was good for me was also to create some metrics that we have some criteria and some combinations which you tried. Another one habit is related to the last activity. So the habit, have the habit that before you turn off your computer, like you do your journal, maybe at home, do something like that at work. So today, I will finish my work. I will just write some notes, what I did today. It could be related to some ticket, okay? But many times we do some activities which are not related to tickets, like some discussions with colleagues, or maybe some urgent call. We are invited and discuss any problems. And have a very short plan for the next day. Okay, so tomorrow I will discuss like this vacation. I will plan a meeting because today I didn't have time to do it. And it's helping me for when I come to work next day. I don't remember what I did maybe last day. So I will review and I know what should I do. I think this can help a lot. And also I think this habit is important. You know, from my experience, where there was some problem and we tried to find some good solution, if we discuss it in the office or had a call, because not always it's possible to meet in the office, the outcome of our discussion was very good and we found very effectively solution and better like doing via messages. And I think that this can help a lot. Yes, there are some people which prefer more to write the messages, but I think these discussions are much better in many situations. Habit number 6, which I think is also important, is on daily meeting, have a habit to confirm the priority, because many times we know the priority number 1, another priority 1, another priority number 1, and sometimes maybe we spend some time with some activities which are not real the priority number 1, and therefore I think it's good to confirm, okay, this is the most important thing which I should do this day. On the next slide, I have some list of generic small habits for Agile teams, but which I think are also important. And first one, habit number 7, is related to have good relationships with the colleagues. I call it win friends and influence people. And here we can use Dale Carnegie's principles. From his book, I will have the reference at the end of presentation. But I think it's good habit to, before having any challenging meeting, just to review these principles. And it's also helping me a lot when I know there will be not very easy communication or some negotiation. It can help. Have this habit to review it. Next one is related to communication. In Agile teams, when we are working, we need to communicate a lot. I think always we communicate with our colleagues. And here I think I recommend to using principles of non-violent communication. I have the reference also at the end. It's a book from Marshall Rosenberg. And the idea of non-violent communication is that when we communicate, we should express honestly and receive empathically. So there are 2 parts of non-violent communication, and each of these 2 parts has four another parts, which are observations, feelings, needs, and requests. So we should observe what is happening around us and differentiate evaluations from observations. Then we should understand the feelings which are behind our observations and differentiate between feelings and not feelings. And next, we should understand our needs which are coming from our feelings and take responsibility for our feelings. And at the end, we should request very clearly what should improve our situation. And the last one, number 9, it's help your team members. And the habit is not about helping them, but about this decision. Should I work on my ticket, or should I help my team members? And I think it's important for senior people or leaders that you have a lot of knowledge, and you can unblock your colleagues by helping them. Okay, so if there is question, should I do my work or help them? I think the habit, okay, I remember, the habit is help team members, so let's help them. And this could mean that you shouldn't take important tickets, because it could happen that as a senior person you will not have the time to do them because you need to help the others. And now some recommendations for books which I mentioned. So here's the first one, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Next one is Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday, and there is one habit which I didn't mention because it's more focus on individuals, but individuals are parts of feature teams or agile teams. And for example, I have this book on my desk, and it's good because on each page you have for each day in the year, you have one quote from all the Greek philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca. And then the rest of the page is explanation by Ryan Holiday. He's like a recent author, and he tries to transform this quote to modern life. And it's helping me a lot. If I should mention just the two principles of many of Stoicism, is the first one is that the things are not good or bad, and sometimes they are just they are, and it depends how we interpret them. And sometimes also the obstacle can mean opportunity. And the second principle is that we should focus on the things which we can change, and we shouldn't focus on the things which we don't have control over. So this habit means read at least one page before you start your work. Next one, which I mentioned, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And I think there are like 30 principles. And again, I have a habit that I have this page like on paper in the office, and before starting my day, I just in 1-2 minutes review this list, and it's helping me a lot. Again, habit to review this. And the last one related to this communication, which I mentioned, Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. And again, I think it's good to review this also, some main ideas from this, when you have when you expect some challenging discussions. And it can help a lot. So some books related to habits. And we are coming to the end of this presentation. And maybe you will ask, what could be 3 things which I can take home from this presentation? My recommendation is that when you build a habit, or when you will try to build habits in your agile teams, use implementation intentions, specify what you will do when and what place. Use 2-minute rule, so break these habits into small parts so that it can be done very easy. And the last one, use habit tracking. This is very simple, but can be very powerful. And from these examples which I mentioned, again, if I should just pick 3 of them, in the morning, look at automation test results. During the day, prefer calls over messages. And at the end of the day, create your daily notes, like the last thing before you turn off your computer. And before my presentation, there was a song, theme song from movie Rocky. And Rocky Balboa said that if I can change and you can change, everybody can change. And By change, we can understand also some change in behavior or some habit, maybe some atomic habit. And this movie character, Rocky Balboa, was motivation for me. And I believe that my presentation today was inspiration for you and inspiration for build or inspiration for power of small habits in Agile teams. So thank you very much for your attendance.